This session, we're going to go over other charges. So from my enterprise setup, I'm going to scroll down to the section called Other Charges. Other charges actually encompass two different things. It encompasses other charges such as shop supplies, maybe environmental disposals, tire disposals, things like that. And it also encompasses taxes. So let's start with other charges. So in the enterprise, I can create other charges that I wish to go out to select locations. So in other words, I can pick and choose which locations I want it to go to. So to create another charge, I would come up to the Add button, and I want to first of all give it a code. The code is typically a single digit. See, I have a code F for this particular other charge. So let's go make one, and we're going to put an O in here. I want to create a oil filter disposal charge. So type will be other charge. It's not a tax, and I want to give it a name. So this is what it's going to be called on your work orders. So this is oil filter disposal. So this is a disposal charge. For oil filters. The calculation is, how am I going to charge this? So let's look at what we have available here. We have a percentage of total per item. So if I wanted to charge a percentage on the price of the item, I can. I can do a fixed amount. Now, since I'm charging for individual item, which is an oil filter, I probably wouldn't use percentage of total per invoice or a fixed amount per invoice. I'm not going to do a labor, that's going to be a part, or I could do a percentage of parts per invoice. So if I want to do a fixed amount per item and tell the system to charge $2, I want to charge $2 for every oil filter that I sell. Parent, what that is if you have a main category and you want to have a sub under it. Okay, so I don't really need to worry about that here. Let's go to advanced. So advanced, these are different conditions that you can apply depending on how the other charge is going to work. You can have a minimum and a maximum per item. You could have a minimum per line, a maximum per line, a minimum per invoice, a maximum per invoice. And you can have it only work on a specific minimum invoice value, and you can have it limit on a maximum value. Typically, this is going to really work well when you use items such as percentages. So if I'm going to set something up on a percentage basis, that's where this advanced really works well. Taxes, do I want to include another charge on top of it? Or does this particular disposal need to be taxed? If it does, I would put the appropriate code for whatever sales tax. And you can have it round up. So here we just have a real basic other charge. Oil filter disposal, we're going to charge fixed amount per item, and it's going to be $2. I hit OK. So once I have this item set up here, then I'm going to send it to the location. So to do that, I'm going to go back up to the top here, go to my locations, pick which location or locations. I'm going to edit. And now when I go to other charge, there it is. So I can send that to the specific location. Again, you got to do this per location. So when I hit OK, it will send it out. At the location is where you're going to set up the actual rule for it to be applied. So you must go to the location once you send it there and set up the sales rules. So let's go do that. So here I am at location 2. You'll notice the gray background. That's letting you know it's coming from the enterprise. So here I have my oil filter disposal. If I click on it and do an edit, I'll see the setup here. Now I can't change anything once it's here at the location. If I need to change anything at all, then I have to go to the enterprise to do this. So the next step is to actually create a rule for this. In other words, how are we going to apply this? Close this up. And you'll notice on the left panel, sales rules, sales rules. So I go find the other charge. There it is, oil filter disposal. You notice there's no rules here. So I want to tell it to apply this to oil filters. I'm going to go up and hit add. Now, is this going to be going to a labor? No. It's going to be a material line. Okay. Is it going to go on all work orders or through a tag? No. All service packages? No. I can use description. Description would be what is on the actual part line itself. Part line itself. Okay. So if I type in oil filter, that just means whenever I do sell an oil filter, it must have that on the part line. I can go by manufacturer, inventory code, inventory service category, a definition, or a tag. We're going to discuss tags a little bit later in a different session. So if I say definition, I'm going to tie this to all my service packages that have engine oil filter definition. So we're going to look for oil filter. There we go, engine oil filter. So now I've told the system to apply it to any material that has this definition on the part line. I hit OK. Once I have my rule in place, I hit save, and now it's ready to go. And that is the basics of a other charge. Next, let's go on and talk about a tax. So back at our enterprise, we want to go set up a sales tax. So again, in my setup, I'm going to go down to other charges. We're going to add, and this time it's going to be a tax. So I want to put a code. We'll just put a S here for sales tax. We're going to give it a name. This could be sales tax, material tax, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it the state sales tax. And this is a tax on all materials. How are we going to calculate it? Percentage of total per item, fixed amount per item. So what's the difference here? Fixed amount means it's just going to be a fixed dollar amount no matter what happens. Percentage of total, it's going to look at the item that you're going to select in the rules, and that will do a percentage. Here I can do a percentage of total per invoice. Fixed amount per invoice. Percentage of labor per invoice. Percentage of parts per invoice. Here's the big difference you got to remember. Percentage of parts per invoice, what the system's going to do is it's going to look at the total parts, the amount of the total parts on the work order, then it will apply that tax. Now, what happens there is it's just going to do it automatically on all material items. But since I want to be able to tell it to do just the material items individually, that's going to give me a little bit more flexibility on setting up maybe an exemption for a particular part. Okay. So that would be a percentage of total per item. So let's say our sales tax is 8%. Now, in order for this to work, I have to have a tax agency. Okay. So if I click here, see, I don't have an agency in here. So what's an agency? The agency is where the system is going to gather all of these taxes together, so that way you will be able to track them at the location and remit them. Okay. So since we don't have one in here, we need to create one. It's real simple. You're just going to put the name of your agency. You can put a little description and an address if you like. So I'll just say this is my state sales tax agency and the tax lines. In other words, I'm going to collect a tax. Do I need to have a line in here to maybe do a discount when I go to remit, things like that? So I'm going to go add. So in addition, I can even put a little code here if I want, but I might say this is my tax collections. What if when I go to remit my sales tax, I get a little discount because I pay it on time? So I can go add another one and I can make it a deduction. So this might be a early pay discount. So I'm just simply setting up my agency and my lines. That's all it is for my remittance. Now, when I purchase a part, I do not pay a sales tax. So this will be a none. When I sell a part, then I collect it. And this is a sales tax. Now, on advanced, typically on sales taxes, you don't have to worry about minimums and maximums. And some people don't like to print the calculation value. Most people do because a lot of times it's required by law. So you don't want to check that box. And do you want to round it up? So we hit OK. So now I have a tax in here. Now, once it's set, I go to my location, pick which location I want to go to my other charges. See, now I can send the state sales tax to it. I hit OK. There we go. So let's go over to location and see how it's going to work. So here I am at my location. Again, the gray background is letting you know it's coming from the enterprise. I'm going to open this up, take a look when I edit. So this tax is going to be applied to all materials, Now the last step is to create the rule for it. So close that up. We go down to sales rules, find our state sales tax. We're going to go up and hit add. So again, this is going to apply to materials. And I can leave it exactly like this. I don't have to pick and choose anything. It will just automatically go to all materials. So I hit OK, save, and now it's set. So sometimes you're going to have situations where there's certain items that you may not want taxed. So in those cases, you're going to put in an exemption. Now, it doesn't matter if you're doing this in a tax or in another charge. You can put exemptions in. So as an example here, let's say I want to apply this to all material lines except for maybe a certain category or maybe an inventory item or something like that. So to do that, you just simply click Add. I'm going to switch this to Material. You know, and it could be something as simple, I don't want this to be applied to any of my oil filters. And I can use the same definition that I did earlier, or maybe by a description, manufacturer, code, whatever. So it's whatever you select here, that's what it will exempt. So let's use oil filter as an example. So I'm going to use the definition. And select it. And this is going to be an exemption. So it applies to all material lines except any material line with that definition. Now, the one thing you must remember about rules in here, and this happens everywhere you set up rules, the more defined or exempt always goes to the top. So this will never work unless I take this line, click and drag it above. System always works from the top down. So here I have this exemption. If it does not meet this criteria, then we'll automatically fall to here. So let's go see how that is going to look on a work order. Now, before we go over to a work order, please note I have a lot of different other charges in here and taxes, simply because this is a demo database. So in particular, we want to deal with the state sales tax and this oil filter disposal. So here I have a work order. And the way to tell where an other charge or a tax is applied is by looking at the end of the line. See, those are the codes. If I look down at the bottom here, see I have oil filter disposal on the bottom left side. That's code O. Code S is state sales tax. So it's applying the state sales tax on this material line. But since I exempted the engine oil filter, let's go open the line and look. See, it's looking for that definition. It's not charging sales tax on it. The O is the oil filter disposal. And if you look across, see it's $2 for the filter, 8% on the state sales tax. So that's a basic setup. When we do train you in detail on setting these up, there's a lot more features to it, but that's how it works.